have a limited amount of resources, so we really have to be strategic so that we can do the things that are the most critical and the things that the city is the most responsible for doing. Each of the council committees has two major focuses. Ours is to provide a structurally, this language was boring, a structurally sound budget. And it's hard. And John was late today because we probably have some issues about, how we keep our budget structurally sound. And where does, where does that money come from? And then the others is just get policies in place that allow us to pull out the policies, and if someone has a question, we can say, well, we can or can't do that according to our city policy. So it is pretty dull. We are doing a lot more, I think, with trying to engage the community in the budget process. So I don't know if you know about KC Momentum. It's a website that we're trying to use to get people to tell us what their interests are, what their priorities are. So go to kcmomentum.com and weigh in on what you think the budget should support, things that may be good ideas. And then we're going to keep changing the discussion all throughout the year. And I think it's going to be a really good tool that we keep using.
My committee is the Planning, Zoning, and Economic Development Committee. And as Jan mentioned, Mayor James reconfigured the committees, and I was delighted that economic development was put back in planning and zoning where it had been missing for the last 4 years. There's nothing that makes me happier than when I come to a committee meeting and we have a full house of angry people. And I say that in all seriousness because that means things are happening, that there's a development proposal or proposals that may change the face of Kansas City, may save a company from relocating, may need new people, new jobs. For example, the Cosinelli law firm and the whole controversy on the rezoning on the plaza came through the Planning and Zoning Committee. Our committee also has the economic development part, and probably the largest issue we face is the poaching war we have with the state of Kansas. As you know, we recently lost AMC. Applebee's came from this side, and I think anyone who's watching this realizes this is a lose-lose for the metropolitan area. That absolutely no good is coming from Kansas taking Missouri businesses and Missouri retaliating. So I think if there's one thing we need to accomplish, is come to a ceasefire with Kansas. And right now the largest problem, frankly, is Governor Brownback. I think everyone else recognizes that it doesn't do Kansas any good to take in a company and give away 95% of the tax revenues at the same time they're cutting funding for education and arts. And so that's the battle we face. Any of you that live on the Kansas side, if you could communicate to your elected representatives that Kansas City has to be considered one region. Until we start acting like a region, we're really not going to make the progress we need to.
In the context of downtown interests, a lot of people, everybody here in this room either works downtown, lives downtown, entertains themselves downtown. And when you're in a downtown environment, you expect certain things to be the case. You expect the streets to look nice, sidewalks to be in good repair, to be walkable. You expect the water to be working and the sewer system to be working. And a lot of those things that are important to a downtown community are important equally throughout the rest of the city. And that's essentially what transportation and infrastructure deals with, is we deal with trying to keep the streets in good repair, trying to figure out how to make our sidewalks walkable and in good repair, how to move traffic around in an efficient way, how to make transit work in an efficient way, make sure the water's clean, and make sure that the sewer system is operating correctly under our regulatory guidelines. So if you think about those things as you're walking out of here to your car, or next time you're at work or down at the power line or whatever. We think about those things for the benefit of downtown and for the whole city. One other thing that we do, it's important if you are a business person probably and need to travel, is we also operate the airport, and Transportation and Infrastructure Committee oversees the airport. And you don't really hear a lot about the airport. It's pretty well run, but we're taking some serious look at the long-term issues we're facing on the airport. Our terminals are getting very old, and they don't fit the aviation industry anymore. And so we're trying to figure out how can we have a airport that's still very convenient and user-friendly for Kansas City, but also very convenient and friendly to the aviation industry at the same time. That's a tough question. We're going to be taking a hard look at it. That said, John alluded to the streetcar project. We've been taking a hard look at that. It's consuming a lot of people's time. We have a great team on it, but the reason why it's consuming a lot of people's time is we're moving at a very, very fast pace on it, as fast as we can. When you're moving at something at that speed, you have a lot of moving parts that have to come together at the right time. We've made the early policy decisions about vehicle and route, and now the real next big question is how to pay for it. And if we can get that issue resolved, we can move forward into constructing it. So hopefully we'll make some progress in the next 60 to 90 days on the funding strategy. Again, there's a lot of people working at it. I mean, and the top people are working at the city. I mean, the mayor's office is very engaged in this. And I assure you that a part of being a chair right now of the council is it's a very enjoyable job. And that credit goes to Mayor James. He has created an environment at the city where it's okay for us to maybe disagree on issues, but it's not okay for us to undermine each other because of that disagreement. He expects us to get along, and we have for the most part. So with that in mind, the only real controversy we've had in my committee is Clay Chastain. So
that's enough.
I guess if I need controversy, I'll just go sit in on Ed's committee.
Public Safety and Emergency Services Committee is, I think, a very important committee, and I really enjoy working with my colleagues and the other committee chairs in particular, and Mayor James. It really is a group that works well together. I think we have tremendous talent, but you have a lot of groups that have tremendous talent that don't mesh well. I think this group meshes well, so I think that does really help the city. Obviously, for the Public Safety and Emergency Services Committee, law enforcement has got to be the top priority, and one of the 3 priorities we set as a committee was to reduce the homicide rates and rates of violent crime in this city. Our homicide rates are too high. They're up there surpassing homicide rates per 1,000 people in cities like LA with all its gang problems. So our demographics should not lead to that kind of homicide rate in Kansas City. And it not only affects the people involved, and I'm passionate about this since my late stepdaughter was a homicide victim, but it affects the whole city. And it affects our ability to attract and retain businesses and to attract and retain residents. So I am so enthused with the new police chief that was selected recently and is going to be sworn in, I believe, tomorrow. He is a veteran of this department that is so well respected on the force. So when he has ideas for change, they're going to be accepted much more than if an outsider had come in or someone else and wanted to shake things up. Those persons could have met resistance. I think Chief Forte will get acceptance of his idea.